and keep that sacred. It should have been an inspirational speech. You think of the great speeches by our presidents, and I always think of Ronald Reagan. Wow, that man could just, and that's why he was so popular because he could inspire even amid tough times. Biden, I mean, he can't even stand up, let alone deliver a speech. But we're expecting that he will be speaking. I've been talking this morning about the fact that he's now meeting today with Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukraine's president, and that's, I'm sure, part of what he will be previewing, what he will be explaining as well. But talking about this $225 million in weaponry. So we'll learn more about that, certainly. Joe Biden speaking out and in Normandy, France, as those commemorations continue. It's not about Joe. It's not about getting the money to Ukraine. It should be about the sacrifice and the service. That's what it's all about. If you missed the Zioli show last night, by the way, he had a great interview with a woman who's a Marine as well as spokesperson, for the Trump camp, and she so articulately was talking about. And if you missed this last night, go back and listen to it. She so articulately was talking about the sham and the shame that this administration delivers with regard to the military and why they're losing such respect and why we need to support a new administration, a new era with Trump, November 5th, and that your vote, how much it matters to our U.S. military, but as well, the fact that the mainstream media continues during a week where we are commemorating D-Day, commemorating the sacrifice, right, that was happening there 80 years ago. And all week long, we've seen these incredible celebrations of the lives of those individuals who are now 100, 102 years old, and then as well those who sacrificed and never came home. And she was talking about the fact that the mainstream media, so-called, still is going with the story that, oh, Trump, he blew off a D-Day and commemorations and so on and so forth when he was president, and he called the military dead losers and sucker. What? It never happened. It has been debunked time and time again, but they continue with that story, which is horrible. It's a horrible story. All right, so I'll move on. But we're expecting the Biden speech on democracy and freedom. There we go. By the way, Monday, starting this coming Monday, we're hearing that the communication phase of the city of Philadelphia's plan to deal with the Kensington issue. So we saw Mayor Sherrell Parker, to her credit, cleaning up the city in many ways. And so they're starting to put up the signage and the posters, and that is going to be distributed, warning people that a stronger police presence is coming to Kensington, and that open drug use, open drug sales, and these quality of life crimes that we've seen, particularly in Kensington, but across Philadelphia, will receive zero tolerance. And then they're going to launch this thing June 18th. The entire 78-person class of officers graduating from the Philadelphia Police Academy will be assigned to Kensington. So this is a task force, and they're focusing this right now on Kensington. And this is something new that's being rolled out by the Sherrell Parker administration. Mayor Parker saying, we're cleaning this up, zero tolerance, we've had it, and really tackling in a new way, in a new era. This is the Parker era. And so thank God that here in Philadelphia, we did not elect a progressive endorsed by AOC. I always say this, endorsed by, I think it was Bernie Sanders too. No, we don't have Mayor Gim. Thank God. So Sherrell Parker, she continues to get good grades from me. You might complain when we do have Christine Flowers. Thank you, Jimmy. Jimmy whispering in my ear that we do have Christine Flowers. Needs no introduction, as I always say. Christine Flowers, as you know, is an attorney who has been an immigration attorney for decades here in Philadelphia and across the country for those legally coming to this country, but as well. Christine is an award winning columnist. She is also a television pundit and guest who regularly appears on 6ABC on Sunday shows like 6ABC's. Hey, Christine, happy Friday.
Hey, gorgeous. I'm actually sitting outside of the Channel 6 studios right now as we speak. I got dropped off in an Uber. I'm multitasking, as I told Jim Kelly. We tape the show in about an hour, but you're my priority. You're what I love doing on Friday mornings. So how are you? Good to talk to you.
I'm doing great. I was actually, I'm nursing this weird, I don't know if we're doing YouTube right now. I could show you. Somebody said, hold up your hand. My right hand looks like I was in some kind of a boxing fight. I was doing lawn work, and I was bit this week by a big wolf spider. That wasn't the problem. The problem was these hornets came after, stung my hand multiple times, and it is so swollen. It looks like a boxing glove. It's the weirdest thing. So,
you poor kid. Is it painful?
Yeah, it hurts. It goes numb sometimes, and it hurts. I've tried icing it. So on the YouTube chat this morning in Kale and Company, I just put it out because it was aching me, but it's hard to write, hard to type. So people were giving me all these different, pieces of advice. Try Benadryl, try antihistamine, try icing it. I've tried everything. It's gotten worse. This happened. This is the third day. It's the worst that it has been. I think one of the stingers, I guess, if a stinger is still in, you have to get it all the way out, or the venom continue. I don't know. It's weird.
That's exactly what I was about to say. And I don't have any, I get allergy. I'm allergic to Benadryl. I'm allergic to everything.
Oh, no.
So, so when I get stung by a bee, that's exactly what happens. You have to just sort of like dig the little sucker out. And unfortunately, little pieces of it always remain. Oh my God, I hope I hope it settles down and subsides over the weekend. That's really uncomfortable.
It's the weirdest. I don't get allergies, so that's why maybe I'm like, what is happening? It's the weirdest
Is it your
thing.
dominant? Is it your dominant hand? Is
yeah,
it right or left?
I'm right-handed, and it's my right hand. It's so weird.
God, I hate that. Well,
anyway.
I hope you feel better. I'm sorry. All I was going to say, use Bactine. That shows that I grew up in the 1960s and the 70s. My mother used to spray me with Bactine when anything happened. It was like that was the miracle drug. It did absolutely nothing, but still.
So funny. Yeah, so if you have something, if you have a secret to it, 855-839-1210. But what do you think about this? I want to talk about immigration and obviously Biden, this whole claim. But what do you think about the Parker administration rolling out this new plan that the entire the new class of officers, 78-person class from Philadelphia's police academy, they're going to be assigned. I don't know how long this assignment goes, but for the immediate future, I guess you would say, starting June 18th, they're all going to descend upon Kensington as almost like I don't want to say SWAT team, but a major task force, and to have a major police presence.
I love it. And I was listening to you before I got on, and I'm the same with you. Excuse me. For the time being, I am fangirling on Mayor Parker. I think she's doing things that need to be done that people in the past were too afraid to actually handle. I think, and I've said this to other people too, I think, the fact that she is a woman of color and the first female mayor of Philadelphia gives her some cover and some goodwill against a lot of people who would otherwise make those sort of epidermal criticisms of how could she do that? How could a white man do that? Or how could this or that happen? But the thing is, it gives her authenticity because she knows what it's like to live in a dangerous environment, to raise kids. I mean, she's a mom, to raise kids in an environment where you have no idea what's going to happen. A good friend of mine who lives out in Seattle, her son his middle school was on lockdown yesterday because someone shot someone in the school parking lot. And those things happen in Philadelphia as well. And she was frantic. So I think what Parker is doing is great. And I think that she's focusing in on areas of the city, weaknesses not we, but that prior administrations allowed to fester, that Kensington just became this really public health catastrophic crisis under Kenny. I'm sure it started before Kenny as well, but they did literally nothing. Mm-hmm. They wrung their hands. They talked about safe injection sites. I mean, hilarious. People are dying and losing their limbs on the streets of Kensington because they're using drugs and, that crank. And we've got people out there going to court litigating to have these, what I used to call legal shooting galleries. And I think, Parker is very realistic and she's taken a common sense approach. I love the fact that she's sending cops to Kensington. That should be sort of like the slogan, cops to Kensington, because it's an area. I mean, I grew up in Philly, Dawn. Kensington was a working class, blue collar neighborhood like the River Wards. It never had the problems that it is having today. And to see a whole chunk of our city basically be lost and have administrators and people in position of authority throwing up their hands and saying, well, we can't arrest them. It's a public health crisis. They're suffering. We can't evict them off of the streets. And, if we talk about Hunter Biden later on, I can say how it sort of ties into this whole really misdirected approach that we have to substance abuse, that it's this, misdirected compassion that we have. That's what happened in Kensington. They were so worried about this perception of being mean to people who were suffering from addiction that they didn't do anything to help them. And in the process, they destroyed a neighborhood for hardworking people with kids who simply wanted to be able to have some quality of life.
Well, let's talk about, I will get to immigration because I want your take. There's a lot of immigration news, but there's also the news story that Biden, during an interview with ABC News, has said that he, quote, has ruled out pardoning and any kind of a pardon for Hunter Biden if convicted, if Hunter, who's on trial right now in Wilmington, Delaware, and the prosecution will rest soon. The defense will take up now and be able to present their defense. But Biden's saying, no, I will not pardon my son. So first of all, your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction to that is that, first of all, if Hunter Biden is not convicted based on all of the evidence that's been adduced by the prosecution so far, that will be a case of jury nullification. There is no way, based on the evidence, based on what they've established about the mens rea of, the state of mind of Hunter Biden at the time that he lied on the form, the background check form for the gun, based on the very strong circumstantial evidence from his. I've noticed that most of the witnesses that know him were women that he was dating, but from, who better to know who you are in your lifestyle than the women who, your significant others in your life. Based on all of that, there's no question that he committed a federal crime, 3 counts of a federal crime. And if they don't convict him, it's because he is a Biden in Wilmington, where they are second only. I think the hierarchy is God, DuPont, Biden in Delaware. That's basically it. God's at the top, then the DuPonts. They still have that cachet because of, because it's the DuPont family, and then the Bidens. Now, I say this as a preface because I believe in my heart of hearts that Joe Biden believes in his heart of hearts that God rest in peace, Bo, that Hunter will not be convicted, that there will be some way that this jury is going to try and thread the needle to find that Hunter was not cognizant of what he was doing when he lied and said, no, I'm not a drug user. And Abby Lowell is a great attorney. His defense attorney is, he represented Bill Clinton. This guy is Washington legend. there is a possibility that he's going to be able to convince a jury that's already disposed kindly to the Biden family that he's not guilty. So when Biden sat there and said, I'm not going to pardon him, I think in the back of his mind he was basically saying, I'm not going to need to pardon him because the jury's going to do it for me. Now, I also think he needed to say that because of what just happened with Donald Trump. He's got to make it seem as if he respects the criminal justice system, because he's out there calling Trump a convicted felon, and he's out there basically pointing fingers and saying, oh, the jury got it right. The jury got it right. You know, all of these wonderful Americans got it right. So if, you know, in the very, very narrow possibility that Hunter is convicted by a Wilmington, Delaware jury, how is he going to be able to turn around and then say, oh, the jury got it wrong, I'm going to pardon my son? So I don't think this was any noble thing that he did. I think he really didn't have any other choice but to do this. But at the back of his mind, he's thinking, he's not going to get convicted. My boy's not going to get convicted, because he's got his attack dog, Jill Biden, there in the front row every single day. I mean, she's glaring down that jury as if to say, do this and see what, you know, Mama Bear is going to do to you. It's just like, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Anyway.
Yeah, and nobody was really reporting that much that I saw, that after the jury selection began and that they were supposed to start their opening arguments, all of a sudden, one woman juror had a change of heart and blamed the fact, she claimed she didn't have transportation. It was a long drive, and she suddenly didn't have access to any vehicle, and that she just couldn't do it, and it was a hardship. So they granted her this hardship. Was it a hardship, or was it just what you said, that she realized, ruh-roh, you know, ruh-roh, I'm in trouble if I find him guilty, and I'm worried about the Biden family coming after me?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There have been people for years who have said that the Bidens have, that they're, not that they necessarily have vendettas against people, but that they're so powerful that all they need to do is raise an eyebrow or just look at you a certain way, and you understand that you have to fall in line. Delaware's a small state. My aunt used to live in Dover in southern Delaware, and I love Delaware. I love Wilmington. I'm going to go to the St. Anthony. I'm going to go to the St. Anthony Festival this weekend. It is like the best Italian festival in the area. Nice. But they're great people. Excuse me. Delaware is a beautiful state. Sorry, my allergies are still killing me.
That's okay. Can you hang around for just one more segment? We'll get into immigration. I'm up against a quick break, so we're going to take a quick break, continue with Christine Flowers, because I do want to get into, there's a lot of news developing about immigration, and I want to go through that and the declaration by Joe Biden himself using executive authority to create this new emergency policy, much like Trump. So we want to get Christine Flowers' take on that one. Dawn Show continues, 855-839-1210. Be right back.
A lot can happen between falling in love with a house online and owning it, between imagining living there and breathing in your new home for the first time. Having an advocate who can help you navigate the complex world of financing, inspections, negotiating, analyzing the market, and talking through any anxieties that may pop up, that can make all the difference. That's what the expertise of a Realtor can do for you. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors and bound by a code of ethics, because that's who we are.
Seasons change. Why not your tech? Upgrade now during the Dell Technologies Summer Sale event and save on select PCs like the XPS 16 powered by Intel Core processors. You'll be able to bring your most intensive projects to life with built-in AI, minimalistic design, immersive visuals, and cinematic audio. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics plus free shipping on everything. Amazing prices await you for a limited time only at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. June is Men's Health Month with Rescue Natural Supplements. Life is busy. It can be hard to focus on your health. Thankfully, Rescue Men's Health Supplements have the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that provide men with what they need. Rescue supplements can help boost testosterone, promote a healthy prostate, as well as support energy and vitality for an active life. And for the month of June, when you buy one of their Men's Health single bottles, you'll receive a second totally free. Just use the code STRENGTH for the buy one, get one offer. To order, call a Rescue Product Consultant, 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483, or shop online by visiting res-q.com. That's res-q.com. Discover the amazing benefits of Rescue Natural Male, Prime RX, Super Prostate, and more. Again, use that code STRENGTH for the buy one, get one free offer on Rescue Men's Health products. Shop res-q.com and do it today.
Listen to Joe Yakovich on The Heart of Your Money, Sunday mornings at 9 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Learn about investing, tax strategies, and more. Joe Yakovich on The Heart of Your Money, Sunday mornings at 9.
Did you know you can stream Fox News Radio on the free Odyssey app? Just download the free Odyssey app and search for Fox News Radio to hear the voices you trust. Brian Kilmeade.
Why are we so scared of Iran thinking they were at war with them?
Guy Benson.
Get the bleep out of here. It's disgusting.
Jimmy Fallon.
Then this administration rolled into town with a checkbook.
Are all on the free Odyssey app. From the news and talk to keep you informed and up to date during election season. Listen to Fox News Radio on the free Odyssey app. That's AUDACY.
Calling on Blackwood to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
People will die. That's one of the headlines on MSNBC as critics, immigration activists say Joe Biden, his new border executive action is a huge mistake and it will be deadly. So they're critiquing and criticizing President Joe Biden quite harshly as he rolls out this, trying to mitigate, I guess, all the damage to his poll numbers and his popularity. So Christine Flowers, I know that you have to head into the studio there and get ready for Inside Story this weekend's edition. But I just want to get your take on this week, Joe Biden and his new border policy.
You know, what I find fascinating, Dawn, and thanks, I really did want to talk about the immigration thing, is that what Joe Biden has done is he has come face to face with the reality that Donald Trump faced, that Barack Obama faced, that George W. faced, that Clinton faced. This has been a generational problem. I've been doing immigration law now since 1994, so 30 years this year. The one difference, however, is that Joe Biden, when Donald Trump was taking reparatory measures, was pointing the finger and calling him a fascist, separating families, a hateful man, people were going to die on his watch, what have you. And he is not admitting that he is both using the same executive authority that Trump exercised, and that in some ways what he is doing is worse than what Trump did, because what Biden is actually doing is he is gutting the asylum system. And you and I have talked about this many times before. Asylum is a very unique part of the immigration practice. And a lot of people say, well, you have to do it the right way. You can't jump over the border. That's very true if you're coming here to work, or if you're coming here because your boyfriend lives here or something. But if you're coming here because your mother was shot to death before your eyes because she was a political activist, or because you didn't want to become a member of a gang, or you were an evangelical Christian and you were attacked, those are legitimate reasons for asylum, for fleeing persecution. And Biden's executive order doesn't make any distinction between people who are coming in as economic refugees, or people who are legitimately in fear of their lives. And Dawn, it's a dangerous world out there. Yeah. There's a lot happening. There's a lot happening in Africa. There are Nigerians Christians who are being murdered while they're sitting in pews during services at Mass. There are women who are being stoned to death in Pakistan because they're either so-called adulteresses or they married people that their families didn't want them to. There are teachers who are being killed and threatened in Afghanistan because they simply want, they want to teach and educate. And these people are being lumped in with everyone else who's coming across the border. And one thing that I really got very angry about, there's a loophole in this executive order. Kids, minors, unaccompanied minors, are not subject to this ban. So what's going to happen? Families are going to send their kids alone to the border. They're going to contract with coyotes to accompany these kids to the border. You are going to have human trafficking. You are going to have sex trafficking. You are going to have female and male immigrants, kids who are going to be raped, and they're going to be sent here, and they're going to be doing child labor. So my view of this executive order, I understand from the perspective, as I always understood, that there has to be some kind of limiting orders at the border. But I have this schadenfreude here because all of a sudden Joe Biden is living. I can imagine Donald Trump looking at the television set and saying, "Welcome to my world, Joe.
Yeah.
This is what I had to deal with." And I personally, I know that some conservatives are secretly very happy about what happened because they think that it's going to limit immigration coming in. But they won't come out and say it because they don't want to be seen as praising Biden. The same thing with Democrats. They're appalled by what's happening, but they're not going to come out and criticize Biden because, he's on their team. The only ones who are really out there are the very progressive immigration activists who aren't beholden to either party, and they're going to be out there. I listened to a Catholic nun who was, she had criticized Trump horribly, and she's doing the same thing this morning with Biden. So it's interesting. And, Biden, of course, is blaming Congress for not doing anything. And I agree. I blamed Congress when Trump had to take action. But all of a sudden, when Trump did it, it was Trump's fault. When Biden does it, it's Congress's fault,
Amen. Well, we'll see you on TV on 6 ABC for this week's edition on Sunday morning. Christine Flowers, until next time, my friend, thank you so much.
Sweetie, I hope your hand gets better. Have a good weekend, okay?
Thank you. You as well. So on this Friday morning, we will continue the conversation. Really policy genius. This is Nate Benefield, who you've heard me talk to many times before. So he will brief us on the very latest, and with his great, brilliant analysis, he'll take us through some major issues going on that he's been writing about. Dawn Show continues, 855-839-1210. Be right back.
Tired of hearing scary ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. We may be able to significantly reduce and even eliminate what you owe to the IRS. Taxpayers should know. Huge savings are now being made available through the Fresh Start program that can drastically reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. Even if you haven't filed your taxes in years or are facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, or under audit, we can help. We've earned over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today. To see what savings you may qualify for, visit us online at TRA.com or call us at 800-511-0379, 800-511-0379. Again, that's 800-511-0379. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. I've told you over the years about Dr. Bentz and all the infrastructure he has there, but one thing that he does that you don't see in too many dental offices, with Dr. Bentz, my dentist, whether it's a routine visit or a comprehensive, multifaceted process, he and his team sit down with you. They create a clear plan, explain it step by step. You will see the Bentz difference with that. Contact BentzDentalGroup.com or call 610-272-6949.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, But those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/250. Ramp.com/250. ramp.com/250.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
As a roofer, spring means the start of my busy season, which means I've got to get organized. With help from Beacon, I can save time with Beacon Pro Plus and 24/7 access to live pricing, delivery tracking, order history, and more. Plus, this spring, I can earn $1,000 and the chance to win a $25,000 backyard renovation just by buying my CertainTeed shingles online with Beacon. No purchase necessary. Now that's what I call a spring cleanup. Visit BECN.com for official rules and to start earning entries.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel yet? Do it today at 1210 WPHT.
So let's talk about it. Been talking about immigration. I know that Joe Biden expected to deliver another Normandy speech today, talking about democracy. But let's bring in our friend Nate Benefield, Commonwealth Foundation, talking about the Children's Scholarship Fund in Philadelphia. CSFP just released a new study demonstrating the value of school choice in long-term student success. I guess I did not need a study, but the studies are the tangible evidence or the fingerprints that just, lead us to, say this is a no-brainer. Happy Friday, Nate. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
So take me through this study, some of the key findings, and it's, this is a great study and showing, for example, well, you tell me, what do you think are the most important out of the key findings? What do you like out of this, and what do you hope the study will, do? Nate?
Yeah, well, I mean, thanks, Don. What, the most important takeaway, I think you mentioned, we need a study. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, apologies. We had a little bit of, I think you were breaking up a little bit, but essentially we're talking about this new study.
Don, can you hear me?
Yes, now I hear you. Can you hear me?
All right. Yeah, yep. It seemed like it was a delay for a second
Yeah.
there. This study is important because there are these critics out there saying, well, we don't know if, school choice works. We don't know the results. Even tackling this, all it is just giving the best students, scholarships. This, coming from Children's Scholarship Fund Philadelphia, which is a great program, one that I personally support and donate to, even though I'm not in the city of Philadelphia myself. But they are providing scholarships to low-income students. Majority of their students, almost 70%, more than 70%, are free and reduced lunch. They have income limits on that, who they're serving. I even learned in reading the study that 64% of their students are from single-parent families. So really serving the kids who absolutely need it. And they do it by lottery. So parents apply for the scholarship. There are more applications than there are scholarships available. So they choose who gets them by lottery. So they're not picking just the best students. They are literally serving everyone. And what they found is comparing the students that get a scholarship and attend private school versus the school district of Philadelphia. And some of this disparity is stunning. One of them, seventh grade math scores, 54% of scholarship students were proficient compared to only 19% of students in the school district of Philadelphia. And that comparison is even more drastic when you just look at low-income students. Same in reading. 61% of students above proficient in reading that are getting the scholarship versus only 38% of the students within the school district. So it's a stunning improvement for those students who are getting this opportunity to find a better school. And again, low-income students with great need getting that opportunity, really demonstrating the results and success of what school choice. And this is really what I look at when I talk about school choice. It is really helping those students, low-income students, find a better opportunity.
Yeah, and this study is the study that I don't see it headlined in so-called mainstream media locally or nationally. It's the study that the teachers union does not want anybody to hear about, certainly, because it's proof. Isn't this just tangible evidence of what happens when you take kids from, in other words, they could be neighbors, and one kid wins the lottery. And isn't this sad that we can't provide this for everybody, because these kids could be neighbors, and one kid wins the lottery, literally gets to go to the private school, and all of a sudden they go from essentially scores are doubled, tripled as far as reading proficiency, math proficiency. This is a game changer in a child's life, isn't it, Nate?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's, they have the lottery, and you said it's sad that students' future is determined by the lottery. And it really clearly demonstrates that, giving parents opportunity does have tangible results in their future. I've had the benefit of being able to participate in one of the lotteries as someone who called parents, and in this case, my case was all mothers who won the lottery and got a scholarship. And just to hear their voice and their excitement of getting that opportunity, knowing the results it's going to have long term, we need to have more of this. We shouldn't be having a lottery. We shouldn't have a cap so that some parents are turned away from the opportunity because of a lack of scholarships, a lack of funding from the state level. And certainly there's a push, and we're pushing at Commonwealth Foundation to expand what we have in tax credit scholarships, enact something called Lifeline scholarships to give more families that choice and that option to find a better school.
Yeah, and I've talked a lot about Lifeline scholarships. I know we've talked about it. You have testified. I know that you've written. I mean, obviously, this is one of your many wheelhouses, but I mean, you've testified numerous times before the legislative committees, and you're called upon by lawmakers so that, you can just explain to everybody as far as, what the policy means and why it matters. You've researched and written extensively on this and many other public policy issues. But what's going on as far as in Pennsylvania? You think about a semester, not even a full school year, but just even a half a school year in a child's life, whether they're learning more or whether they have loss of learning. And so this is urgent. What is happening right now as far as Pennsylvania, our budget, the push, and I know many are still out there pushing for these Lifeline scholarships?
Yeah, it is still very much on the table in the state capitol, the state senate, which Republican control, has advanced Lifeline scholarships, which would give families a $5,000 to $10,000 scholarship to attend a better school. The governor, Shapiro, has said he supports it and would sign the certificates to his desk. I don't know that he's putting in the work to get it done, but he, if it can get done, he'll support it. And then the Democrats in the House are really the ones holding it up, even blocking having a vote on it. And they're saying, well, we just need more money for public schools that will solve all these issues and, educational issues. But at the same time, they're saying, but don't expect that more money that we want to add to lead to results in the near term. And it said, it might take decades before we actually improve the public schools so that all students are learning. That's not acceptable for parents. They need help right now for their kids today. Lifeline scholarships would do that. And I think we need to pressure those House Democrats to come to a deal. Yes, there'll be more money for public schools, but you also need to give those families that are trapped without a meaningful educational option with something like Lifeline scholarships to attend a better school so their kids can have success later in life.
When we think about, policy and how much it matters, I know in Philadelphia, Mayor Sherrell Parker was talking about, freezing some taxes and the homestead, the homestead exemption for homeowners. In Pennsylvania, we've seen the budget here. When you look at taxes in Pennsylvania, and I'm looking at, as far as what's being proposed. Republicans in Pennsylvania are proposing tax cuts. What do you see here as far as where are we going with Pennsylvania, and what can Pennsylvania residents expect as we move forward under the Shapiro administration?
Yeah, well, this is one of the big debates is whether what do we do in the state budget? Do we spend a whole lot more money, or do we return some of the taxes to families and businesses? And really, this is driving for families here now, but for the future, Pennsylvania has been losing people to other states. Certainly, Philadelphia has been losing population as people are moving out. And people don't move to states because, I really want bigger government programs. They move to states based on the tax burden, on the opportunities, the jobs that are there. So there has been Senate Republicans have pushed and passed legislation that would both reduce the state income tax and also get rid of the what's called the gross receipts tax on electricity. It's a tax that's on everyone's electric bill. State charges a tax on that. I'm just saying, hey, you shouldn't have to pay a tax for electricity. It's an essential to every part of our economy and certainly every part of your home. Taking that away would benefit every single family. That is the direction I think we need to go to make Pennsylvania more competitive. And honestly, we have moved that way in the last 10 years and become a little bit more competitive in business taxes. But going that extra step to really make Pennsylvania a leader, because it is a great state to live and work in if we address some of those tax issues.
And as far as, August 1st, this summer, we have, and I just wonder how Pennsylvania is dealing with this as far as one of his priorities in his executive orders when he first came into office was to reverse the Trump era rules about, for example, those people who identify as, I would say go to their locker room or go to the bathroom for the gender identity rather than their biological birth gender. And that all takes place August 1st. That's when the change up happens. In Pennsylvania, are you seeing a pushback? I mean, I haven't seen the lawsuits that we've seen across the country. So many states are suing, saying we're not doing this. We want bathrooms and locker. Either people want local municipalities to make the decision, or they just want people by their biologics to go to the bathroom that aligns with how they were born, not with how they quote unquote identify. What do you see in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, I mean, Pennsylvania, as you said, there has been lawsuits nationally. Pennsylvania, our attorney general is now an appointed, after Governor Shapiro was elected, they appointed an attorney general, did not participate in that, but so there are lawsuits there. And basically saying, like, this is not a decision that should be made in the federal government or unilaterally by the president and his administration. It should very much be a local decision and even a decision for parents rather than politicians in Washington. And I think that makes a lot of sense to me as a conservative and a supporter of federalism. Having these kinds of decisions of who uses the bathroom decided by politicians in Washington, D.C. is not the way our country was run. And in many ways, I would say this type of executive action, and one of the political themes of the day is it's a threat to democracy, because this is not how, democracies don't work with one person issuing an executive order that applies to every single person across the country.
And so for this one, on this particular issue, when we think about this coming to Pennsylvania, there's you don't see it being stopped in Pennsylvania, or?
Yeah, I mean, it is an issue where there's been some legislation to try and block it. I know that there's local, a lot of things have been debated at different schools, and different schools have different policies. Yeah. I think we'll fight against some of the executive order issues. And I know that I think even part of that is about the rules about girls' sports, women's sports in school, and who can participate in women's sports. I know there's been legislation on that has been moving in Pennsylvania that would put, and I know other states have this, where they've passed laws, and it's where I think a big question, and I have an opinion on which is right, of whether state law versus some bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. has precedence. And I think pretty clearly it should be left to the states. The word education does not appear in the U.S. Constitution. So some bureaucrat in the U.S. Department of Education should not be able to make those decisions that trump state law.
Yeah, agreed. Well, Nate Benefield, thank you so much for breaking that down for us. Until next time, my friend, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
You bet. Thanks for having me again.
Thanks, Nate Benefield. CommonwealthFoundation.org is where you go. You can see all of his great work. They have polling, they have the issues, they have education, and so all the different issues, I should say. So you can, it's a great website. It's a great resource. And so CommonwealthFoundation.org is where you go. They actually wrote up on education, really ripping into what happened just this week in Harrisburg. The Pennsylvania House Education Committee passed House Bill 2370. They write, which is a bill basically codifying the recommendations from that Basic Education Funding Commission that we've talked a lot about. And that was the report adopted earlier this year. The committee voting 14-11 in favor of that legislation and passing it despite a lack of support from legislative Republicans and maybe even the administration. So the BEFC recommending that the state increase public education spending by nearly $6 billion with a B. What would that cost? What would that cost Pennsylvania families? $2,000 per year, okay? And so the comment, that was the news release that I was giving you part of what they did. Commonwealth Foundation releasing a statement saying the House Education Committee vote today clearly illustrates Democrats are all talk and no action. They're not interested in crafting real solutions for kids in need, nor do they care to pass workable bipartisan legislation strengthening Pennsylvania's education system. Instead, they're merely doubling down on the same failed policies of the past. In doing so, Democrats are leaving students behind. That statement from the Commonwealth Foundation's Director of Legislative Strategy, which is Kevin Kane, somebody Nate Benefield works with. But I would just wanted to headline that for you so that you get a sense of what's going on, the partisan politics rather than bipartisan. Unfortunately, who suffers? Children suffer, especially children like many of those in Philadelphia who don't have a choice. And so I thought Democrats were pro-choice. Well, not when it comes to a poor child's education. That's not going to happen. Dawn Show continues with your calls, 855-839-1210. Guy Shiraki is around the corner this morning, and so much more to bring you. Be right back.
Kale and Company, weekday mornings, 6 till 10.
Guys in the break room, I go in there to get coffee, and they're all looking at this Chex Mix thing. It's all melded like a Dorito turd that's in the bag.
In the vending machine?
Yeah, in the vending machine.
Well, there was a bag of chips hanging in the vending machine for like 5 days.
Yeah, it's been there for weeks, actually.
And it's like this close to falling off the ledge.
I've tried to shake it. It still goes nowhere.
Radio station kitchens are the greatest thing of all time. There's content fodder for days in that area.
Absolutely true.
Start your day with Kale and Company. Weekday mornings 6 till 10 on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Cancer, a scary word, but not so scary if you have the right team. Hi, this is John DeMasi, host of Health Watch, Sundays at 8 and again at 4 here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. And that team is Dr. Molly Fantasia and the medical staff at Innovative Medical Associates. Yes, cancer is a scary word and a difficult condition if you've been diagnosed. Over the years, the staff at Innovative Medical Associates has helped hundreds of patients with their unique medical hydration protocols. Cancer support is a large part of the practice at Innovative Medical Associates.
We believe in medical hydration. We've improved it so much that we are able to help people across the board with challenges before they become chronic.
Talk about improving your quality of life. Most likely, that'll happen when you visit Innovative Medical Associates. Check them out on the web at innovativemedicalassociates.com or call 856-489-0505 to schedule your initial complimentary consultation.
Hey, Joe DeCamera here. Isn't it time to invest in yourself? Well, how about this? Start a PI Dental Center with decades of experience in complex dental treatment, and I've been a patient of PI Dental for 20 years. Dr. Glenn Wolfinger and Dr. Robert Slough. They're board-certified prosthodontists. They specialize in the restoration and replacement of teeth, and PI Dental Center are the originators of the Teeth in a Day. It's a revolutionary treatment that delivers fixed teeth and implants placed for a dramatic transformation in a mere one day. So visit PIDentalCenter.com. That's PIDentalCenter.com to request your new patient evaluation.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. The NBA Finals are finally here, and FanDuel, in partnership with Valley Forge Casino, is giving you the chance to win alongside the champions. Because right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with a winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use on same-game parlays, live bets, and so much more. And there's no better place to bet the finals action than America's #1 sportsbook. Just go to FanDuel.com/Dom to get started. Take a shot at an extra $200. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. FanDuel Sportsbook is the official partner of 1210 WPHT. You have to be 21 plus, present in Pennsylvania. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-403-5569 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-403-5569. That's 800-403-5569. What do you have to lose? Call 800-403-5569. Again, 800-403-5569.
Yo, Roy is Ford. We know your favorite station is 1210 WPHT.
President Joe Biden speaking to a smaller audience, Normandy, France. Listen in. This is live.
Would do the same, wouldn't do the same. They believed America was a beacon to the world. I'm certain they believed that it would be that way forever. You know, we stand today, where we stand was not sacred ground on June the 5th. But that's what it became on June the 6th. The Rangers who scaled this cliff didn't know they would change the world, but they did. I've long said that history has shown that ordinary Americans can do extraordinary things when challenged. There's no better example of that in the entire world than right here at Pointe du Hoc. Rangers from farms and cities in every part of America, from homes that didn't know wealth and power. They came to a shoreline that none of them would have picked out on a map. They came to a country many of them had never seen, for a people they had never met. But they came. They did their job. They fulfilled their mission. And they did their duty. They were part of something greater than themselves. They were Americans. I stand here today as the first president to come to Pointe du Hoc when none of those 225 brave men who scaled this cliff on D-Day are still alive. None. But I'm here to tell you that with them gone, the wind we hear coming off this ocean will not fade. It will grow louder as we gather here today. It's not just to honor those who showed such remarkable bravery on that day, June 6, 1944. It's to listen to the echoes of their voices, to hear them, because they are summoning us, and they're summoning us now. They ask us, what will we do? They're not asking us to scale these cliffs, but they're asking us to stay true to what America stands for. They're not asking us to give or risk our lives, but they are asking us to care for others in our country more than ourselves. They're not asking us to do their job. They're asking us to do our job, to protect freedom in our time, to defend democracy, to stand up aggression abroad and at home, to be part of something bigger than ourselves. My fellow Americans, I simply refuse to believe that America's greatness is a thing of the past. I still believe there's nothing beyond our capacity in America.
And so you are hearing President Joe Biden speaking live, and all of the headlines, as I pull this up, say, oh, Biden is hoping to, or is to capture the essence of Reagan, Ronald Reagan, as he's speaking from the same spot that, of course, is etched in many memories, right? It was 1984, President Ronald Reagan honoring the, as he called them, the boys of Pointe du Hoc, and drawing common cause between their almost unthinkable feat in the face of Nazi Germany's tyranny to the then Cold War struggle against the Soviet Union. And Biden just trying to channel Reagan. You let me know if you think that was Reagan-esque. I would say not even close. But we'll have to do a side-by-side moving forward. We're going to take a quick break. 855-839-1210 was that bit that you just heard, that snippet of Biden speaking live, trying to channel the late, great Ronald Reagan. Was that even close to Reagan? To his famous speech back in 1984. 855-839-1210. Around the corner, Guy Shiraki. He'll break down some of the other issues of the day. There's so much developing right now that I want to get to, so we will get to it around the corner. It is Friday. This is The Dawn Show.
Crash-proof consumers like Donna McMacken know that the double-digit interest credited to their accounts is protected and available to access without penalty.
With Crash Proof Retirement, I know that my money is totally safe. I stand to gain and brought in 11%. That was interest credited to my account. And I have the opportunity with Crash Proof for that to continue to compound. Even with taking my required distributions, I could withdraw Crash Proof income. There are no fees charged. Even though I've been retired a number of years and I'm not making a salary, I have my investments with Crash Proof, and that's making me money while I enjoy my retirement.
Only Crash-proof retirement can guarantee peace of mind in a legally binding, recorded financial meeting. Schedule an appointment or register for the next Crash-proof retirement educational event at the William Penn Inn on Tuesday, June 11th. 800-722-9728 or crashproofretirement.com.
Hi, Stephanie from Emmons. Are you not loving your bathroom? Is the King's Throne looking a little outdated and run down? Let Emmons Design Specialists design a bathroom that you will love and one that Emmons will redo in as little as one day. An affordable, maintenance-free bathroom with little to no inconvenience to you and your family. With finance options available, there's really only one problem. Your bathroom will be so nice, your king may never want to come out. Call Emmons today at 856-885-6677 or visit us on our website at callemmons.com.
Imagine outpatient care where all your needs are met in one location. Jefferson Health's Honickman Center is where you'll discover nationally ranked specialty care and more, like patient ambassadors, imaging and lab services, a pharmacy, calming spaces, and valet parking. Designed by patients, for patients. Discover a new level of care, created with you in mind. To schedule an appointment, call 1-800-JEFF-NOW.
Contact Tax Relief Helpers for details and restrictions.
Attention, anyone that owes money to the IRS. The IRS has restarted aggressive enforcement actions against taxpayers who owe back taxes that were temporarily suspended for COVID. If you owe $10,000 or more, you must hear this because now is the time to clear your IRS tax debt. A special toll-free number has been established so you can stop penalty fees, avoid liens, levies, or other hostile measures by the IRS. Call Tax Relief Helpers right now at 800-721-4643. Tax Relief Helpers will provide you the maximum protection afforded by law. I got behind on my
taxes and owed $48,000. I didn't know what to do. I called and they got my bill lowered to just $3,500.
I owed $87,000 in taxes, and it was scary. I got the amount I owed down to just $3,500. I saved $83,500.
If you owe money to the IRS, don't wait another day. Call 800-721-4643 right now before the IRS enforces liens, levies, or other aggressive measures. The call and consult are absolutely free. Call now. Call 800-721-4643. 800-721-4643. 800-721-4643.
Out here, in the middle of all these acres, it can feel like you're the only person on Earth. And sometimes, that's how it feels when you're going through tough times. Stress builds up, you have trouble sleeping, maybe your mind is racing and you just don't feel like yourself. So what do? We get help. Lots of people are struggling with their mental health. It's more common than you think. The good news is, there are people in our community who are here for us when times are tough. Sometimes, just talking to someone can make all the difference in the world, so we don't feel so alone. One thing you can do is visit loveyourmindtoday.org for simple steps you can take to find the right solution for you. Whether it's hearing stories about what other people are going through or finding the resources we need to navigate the stresses in our lives. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT.
Yes, so in a moment we'll compare and we'll play the famous, amazing Reagan speech, so inspirational, 1984, from the same spot that Biden just spoke. Biden giving a relatively quick speech, but this was the location. Pointe du Hoc is located on those cliffs between Omaha and Utah beaches, and obviously on June 5th, before June 6th, back obviously 80 years ago, the Nazis were believed to have stationed artillery there, and that would have allowed them to shell critical landing zones for Allied troops. So they knew, many of these Army Rangers who used ropes and ladders, even their hands, to scale this while under fire. You can't even imagine that. Basically knowing that their death was certain and risking everything, sacrificing everything for us. And they reached the top then. They realized that the artillery had already been moved elsewhere and only decoys remained, but the weapons were tracked down nearby, disabled, and then the Americans, of course, spending 2 days repelling those Nazi counterattacks. So this was the mission, memorialized beautifully and perfectly by Reagan on the 40th anniversary of D-Day. That was in 1984, that inspirational speech that he gave. And it was 100%, it was in honor of those who sacrifice, and it's the boys of Pointe du Hoc, speech, as they call it, because even Reagan went on to say these are the men who took the cliffs. But you think about it, they were kids. I have sons these ages, and we've heard so many stories about young men who lied about their age. They were 16, 17. They lied about their age so they could serve their nation. The bravery and the courage and the patriotism on full display. And Reagan had said, these are the men who took the cliffs. These are the champions who helped free a continent. These are the heroes who helped end a war. Now, I will say Biden, from by all accounts, and they released the speech to us, and it's a well-written speech. It's just Biden is not able, he's not able to deliver a speech in such a way with confidence and with, bravado, if you will. He certainly can't even come close to Reagan. Henry, let me know when you have that. Is that you have it? Let's listen in.
We're here to mark that day in history when the Allied armies joined in battle to reclaim this continent to liberty. For 4 long years, Much of Europe had been under a terrible shadow. Free nations had fallen. Jews cried out in the camps. Millions cried out for liberation. Europe was enslaved and the world prayed for its rescue. Here in Normandy, the rescue began. Here the Allies stood and fought against tyranny in a giant undertaking unparalleled in human history. We stand on a lonely, windswept point on the northern shore of France. The air is soft, but 40 years ago at this moment, the air was dense with smoke and the cries of men, and the air was filled with the crack of rifle fire and the roar of cannon. At dawn on the morning of the 6th of June, 1944, 225 Rangers jumped off the British landing craft and ran to the bottom of these cliffs. Their mission was one of the most difficult and daring of the invasion: to climb these sheer and desolate cliffs and take out the enemy guns. The Allies had been told that some of the mightiest of these guns were here, and they would be trained on the beaches to stop the Allied advance. The Rangers looked up and saw the enemy soldiers at the edge of the cliffs shooting down at them with machine guns and throwing grenades, and the American Rangers began to climb. They shot rope ladders over the face of these cliffs and began to pull themselves up. When one Ranger fell, another would take his place. When one rope was cut, a Ranger would grab another and begin his climb again. They climbed, shot back, and held their footing. Soon, one by one, the Rangers pulled themselves over the top, and in seizing the firm land at the top of these cliffs, they began to seize back the continent of Europe. 225 came here. After 2 days of fighting, only 90 could still bear arms. And behind me is a memorial that symbolizes the Ranger daggers that were thrust into the top of these cliffs. And before me are the men who put them there. These are the boys of Pointe du Hoc.
Ronald Reagan delivered that speech, and it was the 40th anniversary, obviously, at that time, 1984, of D-Day. Beautifully delivered and beautifully written by White House speechwriter Peggy Noonan at that time. Just classic Reagan, Ronald Reagan. I forgive me as I go down memory lane, but I just had to have that moment of inspiration. And I think that is what we crave. That's what we're missing today. By the way, Ronald Reagan at that point, I believe, was 73 years young back in 1984 and was the oldest. Remember, they made fun of his age back then. And so think about where we have come and the aging issue, if you will, because nowadays with medical advances, people are living longer, and with all of the cosmetic advances as well. By the way, laser surgery and all the lasers comes originally from the U.S. military. So one other, Nancy Pelosi, she looks pretty good for, I don't know, what does Rich Scioli say? She's 1,000 years old. But all that, a lot of the cosmetic surgery, by the way, is started out with military spending and lasers and all of that. But Ronald Reagan, wow. That was a wonderful moment for me. If you want to share any kind of Reagan memory like that, I just needed that because I just can't listen to too much of Biden. It's painful to listen to him, to watch him. He looks frail. He seems out of it. And even with a nice written speech and some nice words in there, and I'm sure the speechwriter worked very hard and all of that, he just cannot deliver such a speech. And certainly everyone is going to compare him to Reagan, and there is zero comparison. Now, would I love, I've said this twice now, and I'll say it again. Would I love for Trump, when he has these opportunities to hold any kind of a news conference, I would love I would love to hear and see a Trump speech that is written and that is delivered as a speech. So rather than riffing and sometimes becoming repetitive, as we do when we're talking right off the cuff, I do wish that he would go at some points to a more Reagan-esque style of an actual speech. I would like to see that from Trump, and I believe he can pull that off. and to get, because we need to show, we need to show our fellow Americans, our country, we need to talk about inspiration. We need to talk about hope. And we can't just say, well, we're going to make America great again and talk about the policies. I think there has to be a little bit more. And I think Trump is an inspiration just by doing what he's doing. We'll get to some of the Dr. Phil. Actually, maybe we play some of the Dr. Phil stuff. So I had retweeted, Trump had put out there on social media that he was heading into the studios with Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil. And I remember when I worked for, I'm trying to think, CBS 3, and the Dr. Phil show was coming to the lineup, and we had to move around some of our newscasts because of the Dr. Phil show, and he was going to be at 5 o'clock, and he's about compassion. But Dr. Phil is somebody who looks at mental health, positive energy, and thinks about the psychology of things. And I love this angle, and I love this interview because it is a reminder when we think about former President Donald J. Trump and what day-to-day looks like for him. Think about this for a moment. Think about flying, and I get it. Okay, he's not, standing in the TSA line at the airport for an hour. Okay, but still, think about when you're taking a flight, you're going on a trip, and you're flying from point A to point B, and the planning all week. That's what he's doing in a day. Then you think about all these different court cases and all the different lawyers who he has to talk with. So he's not only running, a presidential campaign. So it's a campaign at the highest level. Remember when Hillary, leading up to 2016, and they had her in the minivan, and they were running the AC, and she couldn't hack it, and they said, "Oh, she's got a bad cough and she's got allergies." No, campaigning is exhausting. So you think of Trump campaigning, and in the midst of this, all of these different persecutions as he has to fly from point A to point B, but also meeting with all of the different teams of attorneys. That is exhausting. I mean, Nick Cale, as I speak right now, Nick is napping. You know what I mean? After 4 hours of live radio. Think about that. And Nick he always tells us his age. He's 40 years old, right? I mean, so somebody who, I know people in their 20s who could not hack the schedule that Trump does right now, who actually nap, which I giggle. I do. I giggle about that. I tease my husband about that too. But let's listen in. This is Trump with Dr. Phil. Here he comes.
Yours. You've taken every shot you can imagine. You've been criticized, attacked, called every name in the book. They've turned the judicial system against you, the intelligence community. 51 intelligence officers swear that this is a Russian plant, this laptop over here, right before the election. The media has turned against you, print, TV, radio, internet, in the streets. Not campaigning Donald Trump, just real Donald Trump. How do you deal with that stress in your most private moments?
So, two things. Number one, I don't like thinking about it. Out of sight, out of mind. I don't know if that makes sense to you. I don't want to think about it. Number two, I have tremendous support. I have the people's support. I think if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to handle it so easily. When a judge who has conflicts like nobody's ever had wants to put me in jail, when he puts a gag order and say, if you talk about these things, we're going to put you in jail. And I'm the Republican candidate. I was president. I'm leading the Democrat by a lot. He wants to put me in jail. I like not to think about it.
So that is Trump answering, trying not to think about it, but citing the people. And it's almost like here in Philadelphia, we talk about the fan factor and, the Eagles and really all, the Sixers, the Phils, all talk about the fan factor here, that we have the best fans in the world and how we can really make a difference for our team, right? When we're cheering that on. I mean, there's something, and they've covered this in scientific studies the power of positive energy. And I would just add to that the power of prayer. I know that in many of these places, and the media won't show it because they never want to talk about prayer. Do you notice that? It's biased by omission, especially if it's Christian prayer. If they're praying in Jesus' name, watch out. But even with different Jewish groups, okay, whether it's God or Jesus, oh boy, don't talk about that at all. But there is power in prayer. Trump, you see him at these different events, and they'll go put their hands on his back or point their hand toward him and just keep him in their prayers. But also the crowds recently, if you were in Wildwood, the energy that he gets from that, and that just keeps him going. I think that's awesome that he is able to say that. But what he's really saying, if I'm going to interpret it, he's able to compartmentalize like nobody's business. It's pretty amazing. If you are somebody who is able to and I do this, so I relate to what he's saying, that if there's something that happened in your past or even is going on right now, and you are able psychologically to take that and put it in a box and shut it up, right? Close up that box and compartmentalize it, knowing that you may have to deal with it later. That's okay, but shelve it. That's essentially what Trump is saying that he's doing, that he's putting it, in a sealed Tupperware container. He's sealing it up. He's compartmentalizing it and putting it on, the back shelf where he doesn't have to look at it, think about it, and that way he can move forward. He also did talk about, I don't know if we have this clip, but one of the headlines is that he has talked about Biden being controlled by evil forces because of some of this, some of the progressive ideological, policies that Biden this much like I just referenced with my last interview with Nate Benefield, talking about this August 1st, this executive order, I do feel contains evil forces in it, if you will, saying that you have no choice. If you're a girl or a young lady, no matter what your age, if you're in a bathroom, a locker room, in your school, and a boy who was born a boy and has all the boy parts, or a man decides that they want to go in your locker room or your bathroom, can do that, and you have no choice. And if your school or your educational, facility decides that they don't think that's right, then Joe Biden and his administration will strip that school or that institution of any federal dollars. Now, to me, that's evil when we talk about evil forces. Do we have another clip of him with Dr. Phil? No, maybe not. Because I know that he had talked to Dr. Phil, who is a TV psychologist, but is also, I believe Dr. Phil is a PhD. Is he a medical doctor? I'm not sure. I should know this too. We've interviewed him many times as we were promoting, especially back when he came to CBS. But, he was talking about to Phil McGraw that you have to be very strong and that you are fighting very evil forces, and they are very smart forces. That was another quote that he had told to Dr. Phil during this interview. So you can certainly check it out. All right, I'm up against a tough break. Your thoughts on that one, 855-839-1210. The number to call. Be right back.
Congressman Byron Donalds, the man himself. Any comments on Biden's executive action on the border?
The man is gaslighting the American people. The reason Joe Biden is doing this is because his poll numbers suck. Let's just call it exactly what it is. Don't mince words. His poll numbers suck because he sucks as a president. He's terrible, and he's got to do a fig leaf of reversing course. And that's what this mess is today. America, do not be confused by this charade and this sham.
Rich Cioli, weekday afternoons, 3 to 7. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and on the free Odyssey app.
It's no secret that American consumers nationwide are accumulating credit card debt at record levels due to high interest rates and rising inflation. But here's the good news. If you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or personal loans, you may qualify to have your debt significantly reduced. National Debt Relief's award-winning team negotiates with your creditors to reduce a large portion of what you owe, putting you on the fast track to being debt-free. National Debt Relief has helped over 550,000 people reduce their debt, is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, and is the top-rated debt relief company. Act now to learn how this debt relief is helping so many people during these hard economic times. You have nothing to lose but your debt. For a free consultation and to learn what debt relief you may qualify for, call the National Debt Relief Hotline now at 800-709-3542. 800-709-3542. Again, that's 800-709-3542.
This is Larry Steinitz with Investor Schooling. You may know me from my book, Money Hacks. You may know me from my radio shows, and you may even know me from some of these commercials. But listen, I'm teaching stuff that people need to learn about money. In fact, my favorite topic is money. So go to investorschooling.com and you will learn things about money that you never even knew existed. We will teach you things about real estate, about the stock market, and about how to use your IRAs properly. Go to investorschooling.com and sign up for a complimentary class this Thursday night at 7 o'clock. That's investorschooling.com. This is Larry Steinitz with Investor Schooling. Are you tired of hearing about the recession that's coming? Are you prepared for it? Well, listen, at investorschooling.com, we're going to teach you ways to prepare for the recession that you didn't even know existed. We're going to teach you strategies on how to use real estate. We're going to teach you strategies how to use the stock market properly. That's right, you could even make money in the stock market when the stock market goes down. Hey, go to investorschooling.com and register for a free class this Thursday night, and you will learn all of these techniques. Go to investorschooling.com right now, RSVP for this Thursday. We'll see you there.
Get bonus days to save during Window Nation's semi-annual sale now through June 30th. Get 50% off all windows, along with no interest for 5 years. Plus a bonus 10% savings when you schedule an estimate. If your inefficient windows are costing you too much for air conditioning, that's a big deal. Now during Window Nation's semi-annual sale, you can replace them and save a big deal too. Offer ends June 30th, so schedule your in-home estimate now. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com.
Oh, I wish I could handle all my financial needs under one roof.
How many roofs do you go to?
Currently, 4. One for savings, another for loans, and...
Stop. Write this down. First Harvest Credit Union. I'm able to save money with amazing loan rates and saving options like certificates, checking, growth savings account, which is currently earning 3.5% annual percentage yield. Should I continue?
You had me at one roof.
Visit firstharvestcu.com or your nearest branch. Membership restrictions apply. Equal opportunity lender insured by NCUA. Talk Radio 1210. WPHT. Free speech lives here.
The breaking news as of this hour, the prosecution in Hunter Biden's trial has rested, officially resting. And so now his defense attorney, Abby Lowell, who's obviously famous. I mean, he's an excellent attorney. And so these, one of the headlines is, days of damning witness testimony as the prosecution rests in the Hunter Biden case. So this is a federal case. Remember, Wilmington, Delaware, local trial, federal prosecutors resting their case against Hunter Biden after testimony that I talked about yesterday a lot. So I just want to headline this for you a little bit and give you some of the some of the highlights, if you will. But testimony from Biden's exes. I told you about his ex-wife, Kathleen, wife of 25 years. This is a sad story to me. The whole thing is it's tragic. And you think about people who are drug addicted and, I don't know. To me, I'm going to be consistent. I know that Biden has said that he won't pardon his son, but if I'm Joe Biden and my son is convicted of this thing, I think I'm totally going to pardon my kid. I'm being honest. No violence can, and I know that you're going to say, well, Dawn, you believe in law and order. Okay, I do. But to say that somebody is addicted to something, whatever he was on, I know he was saying, well, I was drinking, I wasn't doing crack at that moment, whatever. He has beat addiction, and that's a good thing. And yes, he lied on a federal form. No violence came of it. Nobody's accusing this guy of hurting anybody or any physical violence whatsoever. I really believe that right now we have, and I've told you about this, one of the biggest job openings, for example, here in Pennsylvania, but across the country. What's the problem after the defund the police movement and after COVID and the pandemic? We have a real issue across America, and especially here on the East Coast, I know, with prisons where they don't have guards. So many people retired, got out. And so we have a real problem with prison overcrowding, not enough guards. Really? And you're going to put somebody who's a nonviolent offender? So I'm going to be consistent on this one. I'm simply saying that technically, did he do something wrong? Should he have cut a deal? Yeah, he should have, and a better deal. To me, what I do believe, and my husband Larry Menti and I were talking about this yesterday, the fact that, remember all the shenanigans that went down, and allegedly the defense team was trying some trickery and tried to trick the prosecution, the feds, into giving up some information, and there was this whole back and forth with some of the filings. And so to me, I think this may have even gotten a little personal, and finally the prosecution team got fed up, essentially. The feds got fed up. And so that's why we're at this place. But do I want Hunter Biden jailed? No, I don't. Just like I don't want Trump jailed. And quite frankly, I don't want Joe Biden, the big guy, whatever happens with that, if he's impeached, do I want Joe Biden jailed as this elderly, frail man? No. I think he deserves to be, let him go to the beach house that he loves and let him retire right after the November 5th election. That would be fantastic. But federal prosecutors locally here, Wilmington, Delaware, local court, resting their case against Hunter. This has to do with the allegation that he purchased a gun when he was drug addicted. That's a federal, and he filled out the form and lied on the form, etc. So we've talked a lot about it. Now the defense team, they get their crack at this. And Hunter Biden, I have to say this because it's every story, faces up to 25 years in a federal prison if convicted. So this is serious, and these are serious charges. We shall see what the result is. It seems like this case is moving through very quickly, and I wonder if we'll have a verdict in this even by next week. So following that very carefully. This is The Dawn Show, at Dawn Stensland. If you want to hit me up or DM me, you can. 855-839-1210 is the number to call. In my family, we're planning our road trip. We usually take a road trip, at least one. Sometimes we'll drive to see my dad, but also our big road trip of the year is when my David is in the Junior Olympics. And so this year it's North Carolina. Planning that road trip, it's so much fun. And for you, as summer kicks off road trip season for many of us, but maybe, you have to make sure that your vehicle is road trip ready, right? My friends at Piazza Premium Automobiles are going to help you make sure that you and your family are safe on the roads this summer. And the service centers of the Piazza Premium dealers not only handle all your regular maintenance needs, but also diagnose possible issues before they occur. Just schedule a service appointment online today. You want to visit PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com, Piazza, PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com for that dealer nearest you. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Weather sponsored by Robert Half.
A more comfortable air mass has returned to the Delaware Valley today. We'll have a mixture of sun and clouds. It'll be warm but less humid with a high 86. Tonight, comfortable, mostly clear with a low 62. And Saturday, pleasant with sun and clouds with a high 82.
Robert Half research indicates 9 out of 10 hiring managers are having difficulty hiring. Robert Half is here to help. Our recruiting professionals use proprietary AI to connect businesses with highly skilled talent. At Robert Half, we know talent. Visit roberthalf.com today.
Homeowners, improve your family's comfort with a Bradford White water heater and enjoy all the hot water your household needs all day, every day. With Bradford White, you get more than just a water heater. You get our commitment to quality and reliability that you can trust. How you heat your water matters, so don't compromise when it comes to your home or your hot water. Bradford White water heaters are built to be the best because your home deserves it. Visit BradfordWhite.com to learn more and find an installation pro near you.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. I've been talking for years about my buddy Roy and the original Batteries Plus Bulbs 18 years ago that he founded on Route 73 in Mount Laurel. And when you stop in now, you mention my name, you're going to be entered to win a $50 gift certificate to use at the Mount Laurel and Northfield locations, no purchase necessary. For anything that you want fixed, repaired that involves technology, Energy, 856-638-0778. Batteries plus bulbs, Mount Laurel and Northfield.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head, and just over $30,000. That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask like 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. Optima Tax Relief. They're the best in the business.
Call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
For details, visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Space may be the final frontier, but it's also what a lot of us lack in our basement or garage. By switching to a Navien tankless water heater, not only will you have all the hot water you need whenever you need it, but you'll gain storage area as well. Maybe a place to display your space collectibles. Highly logical. Learn about Navien's series of high-efficiency tankless water heaters and how they don't just save space, but save dollars on your utility bills too. For more, go to tanklessmadesimple.com.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing.
But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
For more expert appliance shopping advice, here's National Appliance Warehouse's own appliance guru.
Hello, prime grilling season is almost here. I can almost smell the barbecue now. National Appliance Warehouse is ready with a huge inventory of grills from top manufacturers. Today's grills are loaded with features designed to make outdoor cooking easy and fun, and the grilling experts at National Appliance Warehouse will help you navigate them all. Gas, charcoal, or electric. With so many options, it's important to choose a retailer with superior knowledge and customer service to help you select the correct one. National Appliance Warehouse is dedicated to just that. You'll find everything you need for the outdoor kitchen of your dreams, all at the lowest price available, guaranteed, thanks to Price Assure. And to make sure you're all set for that first barbecue, they'll deliver and even assemble most grills.
The Friends and Family Savings Event is underway now at National Appliance Warehouse. Save on a wide selection of grills and barbecue season and style this summer. Click nationalappliancewarehouse.com or visit their showroom in tax-free Wilmington or Middletown, Delaware today.
Hey, Clementon. Yeah! We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
So we talk a lot about Pennsylvania issues with my friend, the PA Suburbs Guy. And you can follow him on X, Twitter, at PA Suburbs Guy. Guy Shiraki. So much great experience and a wealth of wisdom and experience that you bring to the table, having worked in private enterprise and the private sector and the public sector, running for office. You know what that's like, campaigning. And, of course, your great work with the Commonwealth Foundation, Broad and Liberty. We love to follow you. What are you talking about when you're saying there's a reality check for Harrisburg parents and taxpayers hoping the children find a school that works? So let's start there as we talk about, they're going through the budget. And I had read the quote earlier about what was going on with the House committee, the House, and what they were voting on. Basically voting on the average Pennsylvanian. If Democrats get their way in Pennsylvania, they want each and every one of us to have to cough up $2,000 for public education and still not have school choice.
Yeah, good morning. And I'm standing here in the shadow, literally in the shadows of the Capitol building here in Harrisburg, because it is budget season and it is school choice season. And there really are, as you laid out, Dawn, there's two different visions of what quality education should be. There's two different visions of what is best for children. And, on the one hand, it, as you said, is we can never spend enough money. We measure success by how much money is being spent, and having had the two most recent years of the largest increases in spending in public education, moving Pennsylvania to number 5 in the nation, there are those that want to spend $1 billion more, costing us more. But they're not just happy there. What they want to do at the same time is actually reduce the choices the parents have. In the opposite direction are those of us like myself, a number of legislators and folks at Commonwealth Foundation and others actually trying to increase choice so that more parents get more options, so that more kids find schools that work. Doing that actually costs us less money in spending today, but over time, as you know, every child that gets an education, every child that can find a job and a career and take care of his or her family, we all win. So two different visions, and that's what voters need to be aware of. It's budget season in Harrisburg, and there's two competing visions. One is an ever-growing education monopoly, and the other is empowering parents to do what's best for their kids. And I'm on the side of giving parents more choices and having kids find schools that work.
And I saw just a few minutes ago, and you had put out there and gotten a lot of reaction from your letter, one of your many letters to the editor, when you're talking about school choice as well as cyber charter schools. So what's going on in Harrisburg as far as charter schools? We talk about them here in Philadelphia all the time, as you know, but in Harrisburg there, and this is where policy matters. To a child in Pennsylvania right now, to a child in Philadelphia, it's a difference maker. And these kids, I can't stand when people say, well, maybe next year. Well, that's for a child, and you know this as a dad. For a child, if you miss an opportunity, or on the other hand, get an opportunity of a lifetime, that year in your life, whether you're a fifth grader and wow, you get to go to this great private school with a voucher, you get to go to a charter school, and how many times do we hear the inspiration from people who are now very successful people, famous people, and they say, oh yeah, it was in my, fifth grade year. And I went to live with my auntie, and I think that happened to actually Yuki Washington locally, left Philadelphia, went to, I believe, Virginia, and it was because of a school issue and et cetera. We hear these stories all the time where somebody who's now, somebody we want to know, right? And it was that moment in their life, there was this intervention and an opportunity to go to a great school in a safe place.
Yeah, look, I mean, parents want to do the right thing for their kids, and they're looking for answers. And again, that's why there's two competing visions. And for those of us that don't have kids in school, why does it matter? Well, one, if you've had kids, or you're a parent, grandparent, aunts, or you just have a place in your heart for kids, you want every child to get access to a school that works. And rather than having this fight over public schools or not, or do you like public education, do you like private education, leave it to the parent to find the school that works, because each child's different. Some children need more structure. Some need more creativity. Some really love the arts. Some love science. Some need remedial help. Some are intellectually gifted, and they need to be challenged more. Let the parents find the school that work and stop getting into the politics of it. And that's why I keep trying to push for more and more choice. But it's not just, look, Dawn, as you said, it's not just a battle of ideas. It's not a battle of Democrat, Republican, or conservative, or progressive. It's about real people. And two of the things you touched on, it's really important. And I just shared really quick two stories. One is a mom who I talked to last year and ultimately I wrote about, and her son was an eighth grader in South Philly, and said, if we don't find help, he's going to go to Southern. And she said to me, Guy, he's going to go to Southern. He's going to go to South Philly High. He's going to go to Southern, and he's going to die. And he's either going to die because of the violence there, or he's going to join a gang to protect himself, and he'll probably end up dead. I need help to find a place that's safe. And through a lot of help and charitable donors, he's at Newman Goretti and is doing well, and that's a blessing. The other side of the story was a story that you and many of your colleagues talked about. It was public, so I can talk about it. Ryan Boyer, the leader of the building trades in Philly, talked about that when he was first married, he and his wife lied about where they lived so their kid could get out of a bad school and get into a better school. And I share those personal stories because those folks stepped forward to share them, but that explains how really personal. This isn't about, for the parents looking for hope, for the kids looking for an opportunity to learn, it isn't about politics. It isn't about Republican or Democrat. It's about their future. And you see what parents will do. And it shouldn't be that hard. No mom should be in tears literally trying to prevent her child from dying.
Yeah.
No parent should have to tell their kid to lie about their address just to make them safe. We need to free up the system. We need to free this up so the parents decide and kids get into schools that work.
And so what are these myths? And let's face it, I mean, part of I think the crux of this is that when we have private schools or the charter schools, we we prove it's living proof of the fact. And I went through earlier with Nate Benefield, the one of the latest studies. We prove basically that there's a way to spend your tax dollars, our tax dollars, more efficiently. And so for that, to your point about somebody who is listening going, I don't know why that Dawn, she's talking about schools again. I don't have any kids. Well, guess what? Right now, you might not have kids. You should be furious at the amount of money your tax dollars are already being spent on public education, number one. But number two, they want to even spend more money, the Democrats do, rather than give you a tax cut. And so it does affect each and every person. But isn't it, I mean, the way I see this, it's pretty black and white. The way I see this is that people who, A, either want to grow the government, or B, want to support teachers and the teacher, not even teachers union and their power base, they don't want anything that's going to show up the fact that there's a way to more efficiently spend and get even and a higher quality education for way less money.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at it again. Let's talk about the members of your audience who are listening who say, I don't mean to be crass, but I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't have kids. Why do I care? Well, here's why you care. Strawberry Mansion High School up in the Strawberry Mansion section of Philly, like all the high schools in Philly, they're going to spend about $24,000 a child. About $24,000 a child. Not to disparage, but according to the state, their own testing, almost no child in the 11th grade when they do state testing is proficient in math or reading in that school. By the way, it's about 80% vacant because every parent that could try to find an escape hatch has tried to do that. So we're going to spend $24,000 a child at Strawberry Mansion, where we know, based upon the state's own testing, that nearly no child in the 11th grade does 11th grade work. Those children are about to leave 11th grade, are going to come back next year into 12th grade. And a year from now, they're going to leave and go into the world, and they're going to try and go to college or find a job. We know that almost none of them can read or do math at the level they should be able to function in the world. That's a moral outrage. It's an academic outrage. It's an economic outrage. Let's go to the dollars and say, well, what do I care? Well, one, I just told you, we're going to spend $24,000 a child for kids that can't function. The Catholic schools in Philadelphia generally charge about $10,000 a child in order for a child to be able to attend school. They're going to average about a 95% graduation rate, and then those children go on to be they to a trade school or community college or to go off to whatever you or I or the audience thinks is a wonderful college. There's fewer and fewer of them these days. But anyway, off to a wonderful college. And you say, gosh, so why wouldn't we give a voucher to parents in the Strawberry Mansion section of Philly and say, here's $24,000, go find a school. For $24,000, they could find a lot. For $10,000, they could find a lot. For $5,000, they could find several. So you care, one, because we're pouring money on a system that doesn't work without holding it accountable. And the second is we can do it cheaper. And just share a fact. We spend thousands more a child in Pennsylvania than Florida does. Florida has more school choice. Any child can go anywhere. Most kids go to their neighborhood public school. Florida has more choice than any state. Florida spends less money than Pennsylvania per kid. U.S. News and World Report ranks Florida's public schools as the best in the nation. What happens, Dawn, is common sense. In a world of competition where parents and guardians are in charge, all the schools have to be on their toes. All the schools have to focus on results. All the schools have to become child-focused. Florida shows what many other states have shown. It can be done. It's not about money. It's about accountability and being child-focused. That's what we're trying to get to in Pennsylvania. We do not have to get into this race of spending billions more each year, believing that billions more is going to make the difference. The difference is accountability. The difference is getting parents and letting them be involved. The difference is focusing on kids. States like Florida show the way, We're trying to bring some of that here to Pennsylvania to get kids into schools that work. It's that simple. We can keep spending money and watching results go down, or we can empower parents, have more kids learn, and actually spend less money. I know it sounds too good to be true, but in the states where they've done it, that's what the reality is. We can keep spending money and have worse results, or actually put the focus on accountability and empower parents. Scores will go up and spending actually goes down. That's what we should all want.
Yes. Doesn't that sound nice? Guy Shiraki, until next time, have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend. Thanks, Guy.
I will. Thanks. You too, Dawn. Off to Columbus, New Jersey this weekend for softball, so it's going to be a great weekend. Thanks to you. Take care.
Great dad coach. We'll cheer for the team. So, great dad, busy dad for sure, Guy Shiraki. We'll take a quick break. 855-839-1210 is the number to call, at Dawn Stensland on X, on Twitter. I'll cover some of the developing stories of the day, and we'll be right back.
And paid for by AG Marketing Group. Attention timeshare owners. If you need to get rid of your timeshare for any reason, please listen to the following message. Getting out of a timeshare commitment is not easy, and it takes time. But we specialize in helping consumers legally get rid of their expensive timeshares forever. Can't get the vacation dates that work for you? Maybe you felt taken advantage of or forced into the timeshare? Maybe you just can't continue to shoulder those monthly payments any longer. If you need to eliminate your timeshare commitment, then you need to take down this number, 800-866-7061. We will safely and legally get rid of your timeshare payments forever, all with a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Don't continue to let your timeshare be a financial burden to you and your loved ones. Call us now at 800-866-7061. The call is free. The consultation is free. Call 800-866-7061. That's 800-866-7061. Again, 800-866-7061.
Planning a wedding? Enhance the experience with a rehearsal dinner or reception at Del Frisco's Double Eagle Steakhouse in Center City, Philadelphia. Experience the Del Frisco's difference for all your wedding festivities. For more information, call 267-817-3867.
Virtua Health, real patients, real doctors, real complex cases. Take one.
Open heart surgery, tear in my aorta.
The most complex cases come to us at Virtua Health.
I'm sure I wouldn't have been here without you.
Being a 45-year-old, not being able to walk up one flight of stairs, I had no idea I was in heart failure.
Virtua is a premier heart failure center in South Jersey.
They changed my life. It's truly a blessing.
Want to follow our stories? Go to virtua.org. Virtua Health, here for good.
Hey, it's Greg with Kale & Company. The NBA Finals are here, and FanDuel, in partnership with Valley Forge Casino, is giving you the chance to win alongside the champions. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with a winning $5 bet. That's $200 to use on same-game parlays, live bets, and so much more. There's no better place to bet on all the final action than America's #1 sportsbook. All you have to do is go to FanDuel.com/Greg. FanDuel.com/Greg. What are you waiting for to get started and take a shot at an extra $200? FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 1210 WPHT, so you know you're in good hands. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 and over, present in Pennsylvania. First online real money wager, only $5 deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Tune in to Crash Proof Retirement Show, Saturdays at 11 a.m. to hear Phil Cannella and Joanne Small. The Crash Proof Retirement Show, Saturday mornings at 11 on Talk Radio 1210.
Be sure to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Some of the headlines this morning, and I know that we said this on Kale & Company many hours ago, but former Trump advisor Steve Bannon now told by a judge that he must report to prison as of July 1st. I know that his team of attorneys, his attorney is trying to, still appeal that and work through that situation, but he has been ordered to prison as of July 1st and issued a fiery statement and said they can't silence me. But they're still going after Steve Bannon. Man, Banana Republic, third world country. And what did he do? He defied the subpoena from that joke of the J6 committee. He said, no, I'm not going to testify before you. because of, I guess he was citing because he worked for the president or was an advisor for the president, and they said that wasn't good enough. So because he would not testify under oath before the J6 committee. Can you believe that? And we just had these 4 guys in Pennsylvania arrested by the J6 search group, whatever you want to call it, the task force. It's a J6 federal task force under this administration. 3.5 years later, still looking for people, many of them senior citizens in their mid-70s or pushing 80, going after them. Oh, you were at J6. Yeah, we're going to charge you with felonies. Unbelievable. All right, let me take some of your calls. 855-839-1210, the number to call. Bob wanted to talk about school vouchers. Hey, Bob.
Hey, how are you, John? Thanks for
Good.
taking my call. I actually live in Cheltenham, and we had our school board meeting this week, and I don't know how it works, but they just ratified to vote against vouchers. And I don't know if that's only in Cheltenham or if there's some collective school board vote that goes before the state.
Well, that's just it. So it's moving through as far as legislating it, and if Republicans get their way, and there is bipartisan support, you know, we know that, and I've reported on that. But the problem is and even the governor, he supports it. He campaigned on it, for crying out loud. The problem is, you know, like the Matt Bradford, famous, Montgomery County, received, what did I say, about a third of $250,000 this last time around for his election and donations from the union leadership, from the teachers union. And so there's all this pressure and it becomes political, unfortunately. But that's how they, at the state level, if they can push this through and say, hey, in Pennsylvania to make this legal, I don't know how it works at the school board level. I don't think then that, because it's like rock, paper, scissors, right? So at this point, because it's not state law, then the local municipalities have more power. To my understanding, if it would become state law, then everybody gets to do it.
Grandfathered in. Yeah.
Right. And so that's what I believe. And it's just like Guy Shiraki so eloquently put it. I mean, if people start using the vouchers and saying, wow, now I can go to this great school and my kids love it. And then once that spreads, you see, then we can have even more evidence in real time of the success for these kids. But the problem is that's not necessarily what the teachers union wants, because they don't.
Right. It's the PFT and the NEA.
Yes.
They're all against it. And the interesting thing is I did some bannering back and forth on Facebook with some folks, and they're really not educated on who does actually benefit from this, but it's a lot of families with household incomes below $70,000.
Yes.
And it's people, I wound up paying the high taxes in Cheltenham, but I sent both of my children at different times in their life to private schools. My son graduated from LaSalle.
Mine
and
too.
I'm paying that, and I'm paying, the taxes.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. The famous thing is when our kids said, how come the neighbors across the street, and they've gotten their whole house done, and why don't you have Chapman just do everything and basically do a whole house makeover? And I said, yeah, you know why? Because one goes to LaSalle and the other one goes to Germantown Academy. That's why. So, so that's my investment.
It's worth it.
Yes.
It's worth it. I have, 2 children who are serving the community and, growing up to be very responsible adults.
Yes.
So, and I know that comes from the education that they receive.
Yeah, it's so true, Bob. But my husband Larry Menti and I dream of the day. You know what I mean? When we could just, someday.
Well, I have one more wedding to do this year, and then hopefully we'll be,
graduated.
Yeah.
Bob, thanks. I really enjoyed your call. Thanks a million. Yeah, it's Friday. It's going to be a beautiful day today, by the way. We're in the low 80s, sunny today. Tomorrow, beautiful day. Sunday, unfortunately, some rain showers moving through. But 855-839-1210, as I look, one of the headlines I was looking at that I will tell you Some of the New York Times is, gloating about this. A small shift toward Biden after the Trump verdict, Trump conviction. So they love this the guilty verdicts, don't they? From that New York, that sham that happened with that trial. 855-839-1210. Ann in Springfield. Hey, Ann.
Hi, Dawn. I just wanted to say that before Gold Bar Shapiro does anything with our budget or any of our spending, I feel that a complete and thorough independent audit of the Pennsylvania Inheritance Tax Bureau should be done. They killed off so many old folks with the COVID-19 murders. No one could even file for probate because courthouses were shut down. And there was one stipulation that I've written letters for people that cover this and help get this get justice for them. They would get a 3% reduction if they filled out their their inheritance tax form within 3 months of death, during which time many of the places were shut down. You couldn't get a lawyer, you couldn't get help, and they lost out on that because they basically were locked out. So there's so much slush in the budget in general, but in particular, the Inheritance Tax Bureau in Pennsylvania. I feel that they should take a real hard look at that, and then we can decide where that money might be spent. Can it be given back to people that lost out because of no fault of their own, or can it be allocated to the school choice?
I love that point, and I'll definitely look into it because there's 0% on transfers, obviously, to a surviving spouse or to a parent from a child.
Yeah, but it's 15% if you're not.
But
it's thousands of dollars people lost.
Yeah, so
okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Really appreciate you for sure. Thank you. That's I'll definitely look into that. Yeah, I was starting to say what she finished my sentence. So isn't that something we can finish each other's sentences? I love it. Listen, I hope you have a blessed Friday. I hope you have a blessed weekend. The Dom Giordano Show is up next, and I know that Dom Giordano has a real treat for you. And I won't even say where he's reporting live from. I'll just say Greg Stocker is there as well. So we have to get some audio, some secret audio of Stocker and play it on Monday. Wouldn't that be fun? I hope you have a blessed weekend. Thanks for joining me.